Around 5,000 tourists a day used to visit the island of Mauritius. In all of April this year, there were just 58. COVID travel restrictions have all but destroyed the business model of nations depending on tourism. It's a similar picture on the other side of the continent, on the Cape Verde Islands.
The ocean and bays are picturesque on the main island of Santiago. Cape Verde, the archipelago it's part of, also attracts visitors with scenery like this. But things have changed since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. Before the pandemic, many tourists came here to Tarrafal, especially at this time of year, but now no one comes anymore. Many of the archipelago's residents make their living from holidaymakers. But the lack of tourists caused the economy to crash. The pandemic revealed the policy of only developing the tourism industry may have been a mistake. Agriculture and other economic sectors have been neglected. We need to further strengthen the local economy. Agriculture, fishing, livestock, domestic tourism, and so on. Because at the moment, we depend almost entirely on Europe. If Europe is blocked, we're also blocked automatically. Many of the island's hotels are closed. A commercial sector that normally generates a quarter of Cape Verde's gross domestic product now lies dormant. Many who work in tourism have lost their jobs. Hoteliers hope business will gradually return, this time with guests from close by. We've invested a lot in domestic tourism. We've done promotions and everything necessary for our citizens' benefit, because now we have to invest in ourselves and not just wait for the Europeans to come here. We also have to invest in what our people want. There are also people from our country who want to come, so we offer them the best prices. Things haven't been this slow for a long time. The locals now have the islands to themselves. They can keep the fish they catch and would usually sell to restaurants. But it's not enough for them to live on.
Let's get more on how the African tourism sector is trying to cope with the pandemic with Elsia Grandcourt. She is the Regional Director, Africa Department at the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Welcome to DW, Elsia. For the countries most dependent on tourism, what do they need to do? What do they need to happen to get back on track?
Thank you. Very good afternoon. For us, the year 2020 has been the worst year in the history of global tourism. And as you say, the crisis continues, and especially those countries heavily dependent on tourism are really experiencing a lot of difficulties because the drop in tourism arrivals, what we've been seeing in Africa, has even gone down to minus 85% within this year. And definitely this translates into loss of jobs. Opportunities, especially a lot of people were also transacting in the informal sector. But I think the realization also that has come out of this is that countries are looking at their economic model that they have, moving away from just putting a lot of energy behind developing the tourism sector. They're looking at diversifying the economy. They're looking at other niche segments as well in order to be able to attract visitors to their shores. In the documentary you just shared, for example, Cape Verde, they're looking at the pricing in terms of to be able to attract domestic tourism, in addition to looking at diversifying the economy.
Okay, do you see this sort of diversifying on a large scale, or is this just in several economies?
I believe that the tourism sector will be on the rebound. Countries need to continue to consolidate the work that has been done in this sector. But of course, it begs one to realize that indeed we have to look at other sectors and to look at diversifying, because when your country depends heavily on tourism and when the source markets are no longer able to travel, you realize that it creates a big gap. And now the focus has been on reskilling so that people can transfer to the other industries. But of course, the sector will be on the rebound. It will take some time. That's why our Secretary General has been pushing for this continuous collaboration amongst different stakeholders, international organizations, and other UN agencies to look at restarting the tourism sector, but of course, taking into consideration all the necessary protocols that we have to adhere to in order to be able to proceed with the restart of the sector.
Asia Grant Court of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, thank you.